Good afternoon and welcome to IAB There, our daily live stream in which we connect the digital advertising ecosystem. My name is Chris Bruderly and I'm the Senior Director of Research and Analytics at the IAB. And the title of today's session is The Role of Permission-Based Marketing in Today's Evolving Privacy Landscape. Today we'll be covering the current issues faced by the digital advertisers amongst changing regulations, compensation, and trust in the reshaping of the internet economy, as well as how cryptocurrency and blockchain is impacting and playing a role in the permission-based economy. So with that said, I welcome to the stage Charlie Silver, founder and CEO of Permission.io, and Angela Eng, IAB's Vice President of Measurement and Attribution. Welcome, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Chris.
Hi,
Charlie.
Lena. Hi, Charlie. How are we? Okay. All right, Charlie, I'm going to start with you, my friend. In layman's terms, so everybody understands what we're talking about here, or has a better idea. What is cryptocurrency and what does blockchain have to do with it?
Great question, Chris. And a lot of people are confused about what crypto actually is. So cryptocurrency is a currency where each unit of that currency has a unique digital identifier, and it's always transparent. Every transaction is totally trackable, and a blockchain is the database which enables the cryptocurrency to be transparent and able to, it's immutable, that every transaction is recorded for all of history. So we all know about Bitcoin. Every Bitcoin transaction is recorded, every single one from the day that Bitcoin came out. So it has unique characteristics as a currency as opposed to dollars and euros, which are fiat currency. Nobody knows how much is being transacted. So crypto is a huge innovation in money and banking.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So knowing that, what does Permission.io do? And what does that solve for the digital advertising ecosystem?
Well, Permission.io has created its own cryptocurrency called Ask, A-S-K, and its purpose is to enable advertisers to incentivize targeted individuals to opt in and share their data. In the world of cookies going away, regulations around how data can be used, ad blockers, bots, there's a real need for advertisers to connect to individuals, offer them an incentive, know that they're real people, and get them to volunteer to be marketed to by offering them a value. So we see this as the new paradigm for Web 3.0.
Interesting. So how does the consumer participate? And before you answer that question, why use crypto as a form of, for lack of a better term, rewards?
Okay, well, several questions. First, go to permission.io, sign up, create an account, earn your first cryptocurrency. You can download the browser extension and earn ASK as you travel around the web. And crypto serves as a great reward because of multiple things. One, it's global, it's liquid as opposed to like Hilton points or Starbucks points that can only be used in their particular ecosystem. Crypto is totally liquid. You can trade it for other cryptos, for dollars, euros, whatever you want. So it's really going to replace, I believe, individual rewards programs.
Got it.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question because there's a level of security as well, right? So everyone that has a crypto account has to validate who they are. So in a sense, this is kind of like fraud proof, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we all know in the digital ad world that whether it's 50% or even more of reported traffic is fake. They're bots. And so, I mean, advertisers have been paying Google and Facebook for years for fake traffic. And now, and Angie, you're exactly right. For an individual to earn their crypto, they have to be verified. They have to go through what's called KYC, know your customer. And so advertisers will now know that they're reaching real people.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting there from a consumer standpoint is the fact that versus rewards, which means you can only spend that reward or use that reward in a certain way. To be able to use it in a lot of different ways is a huge advantage to the consumer, and especially considering the fact that it doesn't have, there's no end date, if you will, and that it gains value while you own it. It appreciates. I think that's a huge improvement or evolution of the old reward system. So let me move over off the consumer and let's talk about advertisers and brands. As you mentioned, this is about, part of the goal is essentially achieving first party data for the brand and advertiser. So how do they participate in this?
Well, advertisers can run campaigns. We are just now launching our own demand side bidding platform, or a DSP. And for the first quarter, for the next 3 to 4 or 5 months, it's going to be a managed service. But ultimately, in 6 months or so, any advertiser anywhere in the world can log on and run ads in the open web and bid for inventory just like they would through Google Ad Exchange or the Trade Desk or any other DSP. But with the permission ads, that's what we're calling our DSP, permission ads.
Yep.
Those ads will offer ASK as an incentive to share data. And the user experience is they'll click on the ad, they'll go to a landing page. Let's say it's Nike. They'll say, do you play tennis, golf, or soccer? How old are you? Where do you live? Give us your email address. So we're a vehicle for Nike to build their own consumer data platform. And that data goes right into their CDP. And real first party data with real verified users of people who are volunteering to be marketed to. So we think we're solving huge problems throughout the ad ecosystem. And it's all about building trust between the brand and the individual.
Now, Charlie, just for clarification, right? The entire ad isn't really promoting the Ask offering. It's an overlay on top of the ad with some sort of click to this landing page where they can sign up and answer questions.
Correct, exactly correct. No, it's going to be a Nike ad, but in the corner it will say earn 200 ASK or 500 or 100 or whatever. And you roll over and they say cryptocurrency for permission. Claim it now. Click through to a landing page, offer some data that Nike wants, and that's how the recipient can claim their ASK.
Now, within the ad, so now there's 2 different clicks. There's click to the ad itself and whatever offering, and then the click to your Ask page. I'm assuming there's a link back to the advertiser's site where then they can kind of almost do like a closed loop attribution coming directly from the Ask user. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, the landing page is kind of going to be a customizable thing for the advertiser, whatever the advertiser's goals are. So, but the idea is share data, earn ASK, and that recipient will never forget that they earned crypto from that brand. And it's all about the long tail relationship and trust that's built.
So are you building specific audiences that advertisers and brands can activate on?
Well, yes, but the DSP goes out to the open web, just like running a campaign through the Trade Desk or Google Ads. No different. However, like Google Ads, Google has its own segregated source of supply, their search engine. We'll
Yeah.
have our own source of supply, which will be people who have hit the browser extension, have signed up on permission.io, downloaded our mobile apps, etc. So we'll have our own source of supply, but the primary supply is the open web.
Well, let's go into, so whenever anyone answers a question or interacts with the brand or even the publisher, right? Because this is not just an advertiser tool, but publishers can also take advantage of this as far as based on our conversation. Um, from a data ownership perspective, who owns the data? Just for clarification. So when someone responds and says they're opting in, who gets that data, and are you sharing it, and are you using it as well?
Okay, permission doesn't collect data on anybody who clicks on an ad. Okay, so that's number one. So if you see an ad on the open web and that offers you ASK, again, I'll use the Nike example. They click through to a landing page with some questions. It's Nike's data. The user, the individual is saying to Nike, I'm willing to share my data. You're paying me or compensating me with ASK. So we don't collect that data. That's not we're not engaged in that. So the first party data is collected by the advertiser, but our whole mission is that individuals own their data, and that's why the issue is about compensation. It's not about privacy, it's about compensation. If I'm sharing my data, I should get something for it. And that's the whole principle.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
that is really interesting. And that adheres to one of the main tenets that's going on, and that is the fact that not only that it's a value exchange, but that the consumer can actually, quote unquote, own or at least have some sort of control over their personal information. I will share this much about me in exchange for X. If I wanted to dial that back a little bit, I participate less. And that's, of course, I would get less ask cryptocurrency. But to me, that makes a lot of sense, right? It's like, as opposed to it being a set amount of currency and personal data being shared back and forth, it seems like it's kind of dynamic, which sets up a really interesting economy, I think.
Yeah, well, imagine, let's fast forward a year or two, and our ecosystem is much more robust with all of our mobile apps out there. So imagine on your phone, you say, I'm shopping for a mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, mortgage companies can bid for your participation instead of, like, the internet works on lead generation. There are hundreds and hundreds of companies that gather leads and then sell them to, credit card companies,
Yeah.
hotels, airlines. So now the individual, instead of that lead generation company getting a huge chunk, an advertiser pays you directly for that data. So I'm shopping for a mortgage. So the mortgage companies bid for your data directly to you and pay you directly, or life insurance company, or hotels, or travel. I mean, everything. There's always these middlemen collecting data and selling leads. So that goes away, and now advertisers can bid directly for your data. So if you're shopping for a mortgage, that could be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars that a mortgage company will pay you directly versus paying all these lead generation companies.
Now, let's say I'm an advertiser. I have $100,000 to spend. I'm running it with you. I'm assuming that within your platform, there's a platform fee and then there's the crypto fee. So, but it's contained within the full $100,000. There's no incremental spend that I need to include to support the crypto or the ask
Exactly. I mean, through most DSPs, the fees range from 10 to 20%, and the total package will be below that. So Right now, the default fee to permission may be around the 5% range, and the ASK purchase in the 10 to 15% range. So the overall fees are about the same, but our whole bet is that we're going to deliver massively improved ROI to the advertisers. For that $100,000, they're going to get more engagement, more participants through the permission ecosystem and offering ASK than they would, traditional routes.
What type of advertisers are you seeing sign up for this already? Like, I'm fascinated by what categories of brands like just jumped on this right away because they saw this as an opportunity to get first party data in a privacy safe value exchange type of way.
Well, right now on permission.io, we're connected to all the programmatic pipes. And the biggest bidders of our inventory are PayPal and Visa. They're like buying all the inventory. It's advertisers who, it's a heavily male 18 to 34 cohort that, advertisers who are trying to reach that cohort are going to be all over it.
Right, and those are the guys, and Angie, keep me honest here, but those are the folks that tend to be ad blocking, more likely to be ad blocking, is that younger male cohort.
Exactly.
So it makes sense that PayPal and Visa jumped all over this because they're the folks they haven't been able to address, and this is a great way to do that.
And they're the first to adopt, Bitcoin and crypto in the first place. And look at NFT, right? So that market is very interested in what I'll call virtual currency, but it's still concrete money. Now, we talked about advertisers a lot. I want to make sure that I also we emphasize the benefits that publishers can get, because it's not just Ask is not just supporting advertisers, but this is a way for publishers to build out their first party data. And I think a lot of them have been struggling with, do they have a subscription base? Do they put their content behind a wall? What are some of the conversations that you're having with the publisher side?
Well, it's on the roadmap. We will definitely have a pixel that publishers can install. And when they're trying to get somebody to opt in, to sign up for a newsletter, various things, take a survey, etc., they can reward people with ASK. That's not in place. However, in addition to publishers, it's e-commerce providers as well. So we have that plugin available for Shopify merchants that we just got approved through the Shopify ecosystem. So for the 2 million Shopify merchants, they can offer ASK as a reward to watch videos, share their data, however the merchant, wants to incentivize behavior. And it's the same with publishers. So we see, but it's just not quite ready yet.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds fascinating because not only is this an advertising tool, but it's also a marketing tool, a customer relationship tool, a loyalty program, a redemption system, lots of different elements to it, and it's very, very unique. Kudos to you.
Well, it's still early and ASK is still early, but our, business goal is to have ASK the most widely used crypto in the digital ad world. So, if you want my data, ask me. You want me to opt in? Ask me. And the whole idea of ask me, it's like a Google it, it's if you want me to do something, ask me.
Yeah, this is absolutely fascinating because it's not just, what I've learned over the last couple of weeks from talking with you, Charlie, and doing some reading about this. It's not just about getting first party data, to be able to target advertising better. I mean, this could change the entire marketing ecosystem, right? Like any sort of value exchange that happens on the internet could happen this way. It could be, one of the key new pipes or channels in which value is being exchanged. When you mentioned Shopify and watching a video, what immediately came to my mind was the creator economy, where essentially, obviously brands are working with creators to promote their product. I wonder if that's a way that brands can, can pay, their creators, like the more videos you create or the more products that you end up leading to sales earns you more ass coins. Now, I'm not saying that you know about this yet, or this is on your roadmap or anything like that, but I think, in terms of thinking about where this can go and how big this can be, it's things like that that are like starting to pop into my head, and I'm sure Angie's head as well. And Charlie, I'm sure they're already way in your head.
Yeah, I mean, I
Well,
think that I think everyone's been using the term consumer value, value exchange, and I haven't heard anything like this that has been a bit more concrete, right? It's always been the trading of content, um, gaining trust and transparency, but this is something that is uh, actually a thing that they can use, and it sounds. Uh, I'd love to learn more, but the one thing I have is like, what are some of the barriers when it comes to crypto and ask? Me especially, I've been very reluctant to get into the crypto space. I'm just starting to, read up a little bit more about it. But what are some challenges that you think you'll be facing and that you'd like to overcome?
well, the biggest challenge is, big brands being comfortable offering crypto when in the United States, not around the world, but not in Europe, not in Asia, but there's some ambiguity around crypto regulation. The Congress and the SEC are adopting. It's very high on their uh, agenda to have clear regulation around crypto. So some brands are going to be skittish around crypto because of the, you know, is this legal? Kind of thing. It is legal. It's just how is it accounted for? How is tax rules applied, et cetera, et cetera. So there is ambiguity around crypto and the regulatory front, which will make some brands skittish. But so that's a challenge. We're trying to eliminate some of that because the brands will never have to touch the crypto. They won't ever take possession or have to account for it. So we're addressing that. But that's the biggest issue, is the ambiguity around regulation.
So can you just go into that a little bit, what that ambiguity is? Because what is the difference between it being legal and there still being some ambiguity in terms of all of the legal ramifications?
Well, it's all around. Listen, the issues around crypto are how crypto companies can raise money. Can they sell their crypto to the public? And if they do, is that treated as a security? That's one of the biggest issues. Accounting and taxes are the other issues. How is tax applied here? Is it a commodity? Is it a security? Is there capital gains applied? So all of those issues. That's really it. It's not a
Yeah.
matter of legality. It's just we need to have more precision around how it's treated after sales and for accounting. Accounting and tax are the big issues.
And
Yeah.
it's reliant on supply and demand, right? So it market fluctuates and so forth. So in terms of I guess people's perceptions, right? In terms of
Right.
uh,
And the SEC is struggling with, a security is something that somebody purchases because they hope it goes up in value, right? And so crypto is this kind of hybrid thing. It's not really a security, but yet people do get it because they want it to go up in value. So yeah, they're going to have to create clear definitions around this. Now, other jurisdictions in the world do have clear definitions. Switzerland, London, Tokyo, Singapore, they have clear definitions. So the crypto economy is happening globally. The US has been slow to have clear rules. But if they don't, everybody's, the best and the brightest in Wall Street and Silicon Valley are going to leave. So,
and I mean, this gives a great opportunity for those international advertisers and publishers, right? So it offers scale, it offers a lot of reach, a lot of potential.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm super optimistic that we're going to have clear regulations in the US and the
Yeah.
crypto world's going to explode once that happens.
Yeah, are you seeing, is there any sort of conversations that are starting to bubble up in Congress on this topic? Or is it kind of under the radar right now?
No, it's very visible. It's actually this week, a Bitcoin futures ETF is going to be trading starting on Monday, which is the first ETF crypto out there. No, it's a very top of mind topic for Congress and the SEC.
Right. The other thing I wanted to say, and this is a little bit of a shameless plug, is that now that you guys are, and Charlie, keep me honest, I understand that you guys are now IAB Tech Lab members. And I think, one thing that the IAB can do for you and the IAB Tech Lab is you were talking about how the big brands may be hesitant, to use this because of regulations and probably also from just, from understanding it and knowing what all the ramifications would be. I mean, I would be hesitant if I was a brand and this is trying to execute my media plans quickly and reach my KPIs. I'd be a little, hesitant as well. I think that which is one thing to keep in the back of your head, and one of the reasons IAB and the Tech Lab exists is because we connect those parties. Like we can help you, things that we support and we believe in. We can help you connect that messaging and that education to the other sides of the ecosystem. So then those exchanges can happen. It'll build your business, helps them get to their goals. So one thing I wanted to say is keep that in the back of your mind. And when you are doing that, you're probably going to meet my friend Angelina Ng again on that.
No, we're really excited to work with the IAB. It's, you guys are on the cutting edge of innovation, and we want to connect to the brands. There's a lot of brands that want to position themselves as one, permission marketers offering value for data. That's number one. And number two, they want to be connected to innovation and the newest, the latest, and the greatest, and that means connecting to crypto and so there are quite a few brands that will want to be early adopters, but there will be just. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Continue finishing your sentence and I'll ask.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be brands that are innovative and early adopters, and then there'll be a lot will be laggards, and will only come along when regulations are clear and this is a real established thing. But like anything, there's early adopters and laggards.
And real quickly, just for clarification, and I want to go back to the actual DSP platform that you have. So you had mentioned that advertisers and or whoever the client is collecting or is getting all this information. What are the advantages for using your DSP versus the other DSPs when the advertiser has this data and they can actually deploy it anywhere? So I just want to make sure they fully understand, like, even though they're getting the data, there is some additional benefits just working through the permission.io DSP platform.
Well, number one is real people, verified users. Anybody who's been in this space knows that there's a lot of bot and fake account activity. So that's number one, verified users. And two, it's about the long tail trust and relationship that is built between the brand and the user. That user is never going to forget that they got crypto from that brand. We'll never forget that. And the fact that users are volunteering to be marketed to, you're just going to get such a better ROI off of that cohort of people who volunteered to be marketed to than they would off of just getting random names, through various means that they do today.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of this that could be a big game changer. When the consumer finally, when the light bulb goes off in their head where it's like, wow, if I give these guys something of value that'll help their business, I'm really going to get something of value back. And if I want more from them, I'll give them more. I don't have a problem doing that. It's super easy. Um,
I mean, I think the main proposition besides that is the fact that it is pretty much 100% fraud free.
yeah,
And I don't think there's a lot of platforms that can actually say that. There's a handful, but there's not a lot of platforms that can say that. I think that is definitely the hook, because and by overlaying the permission IO dot ask or the ask um, prompt and inside the ad, you're the only ones offering that, and being able to then connect that user to an actual person. I think brands are going to be very, very interested in this, because there still is a lot of waste right
Now, just as an FYI, fast forward a year or two, we see ask, we want to create modules for the hundreds of other or thousands of other DSPs out there. So, the Trade Desk or Google or anybody can have a module to enable advertisers to ask. And that's our goal, is to get ask is the most widely used reward throughout the advertising ecosystem. So we don't see it as a proprietary thing. We want ask to be spread everywhere.
That's awesome.
yeah, it's really interesting, and we could talk about this all day, and I'd love to talk about it all day, especially with you two folks. Charlie, we probably have about 1 more minute. Just a quick comment, question for you. I'm going to step it back about half a step. Like, where do you see the monetization of consumer data headed?
Oh, I think what we're doing is going to be, fast forward 5 years from now, that there's going to be broad recognition from the consumer and the advertiser side that data has tremendous value, and that if a consumer is going to share it, they're going to be compensated. I think this trend is clearly established. It's going to be continually emphasized through regulation. GDPR and CCPA are the beginning, but I think there's going to be more and more that are going to require platforms and brands to compensate individuals to share their data. I mean, what's going on in iOS in the Apple ecosystem right now?
Yeah.
I mean, apps have to, and these are Tim Cook's words, have to ask permission to use data. And the vast majority, 90%, are saying no, because there's no means for those apps to provide value in exchange for the data. So this is coming. It's all coming. Data runs the digital world. And if someone's going to share their data, they should be compensated.
Absolutely. Angie, any final comments? We're probably
No, I think we covered a lot.
We covered it all. Well, I have 2 final comments. Number 1 is that, folks, 1 in 4 adults in the US own some form of cryptocurrency. That's a pretty big number, and probably a bigger number than most people think. So keep that in the back of your mind. And my other comment is that with this, there is definitely a there. So no pun intended. Charlie, thank you for coming to IAB There. We appreciate it very much. Angela Ng, your expertise is always valued. And we're going to keep a close eye on cryptocurrency, on blockchain, and the permission-based economy. I'm Chris Bruderly. Thanks for watching IAB There.